Transmitting to you from Old Heart Radio.
I lost it. Where are what are we doing?
Matinee Edition.
Yes.
With Jared Lucas. William Lucas.
I lost it. Where are
We lost it.
what are we doing?
This is Matinee
Okay.
Edition.
Yes.
With Jared and Lucas.
You know.
Lucas. 75. There it is. I pulled up the email you sent me with the invites.
75.
We are
Yeah, dude.
we're recording on Zoom again.
Yep. This is a Zoom epi.
Zoom Matinee Edition.
Zoom edition. Yeah. Like it's gotten the convenience is there. That's for
The
sure.
convenience is there. We're going to be recording again in person next week, though. So look
Yeah.
forward to that, listeners.
Hopefully Bowie will mind his own next week.
He was all over us last week, man.
Dude, he's fucking chaotic sometimes. I'm telling you what, man. And like half the time, I like lure him in here to try and record with me, and then I'll sit him down and I'll think he's chill, and then I'll finally start like recording, hit R, and then like boom, he just starts like
There he
launching
goes.
onto my arm, and I'm just like, oh my god, oh my god,
Oh my God.
So
That was pretty. It adds a flair. It adds realism.
yeah, exactly.
We're real people. We like dogs, like every other human.
Yeah. Well, like every other normal human.
Let me just say, like, it says something about a president when they don't have a dog. It's notable because Trump was the first president in like 35 fucking years to not have a dog in the White House.
It's true. But once the White House did get a dog back, I believe Major Biden might have had like a couple incidents or two.
Yeah, I saw that.
And so they had to bring him to like a different area, different place.
I saw an Onion article that said like White House officials beg with Major Biden to put down nuke. It was pretty funny.
But it's true though. It's good. I think
Doggers are the best.
I think
Who doesn't love
dogs?
dogs?
If you don't love dogs, I don't know.
Don't listen to this podcast.
How strongly I feel about you.
Yeah, exactly. But you know what else everybody loves?
What's that?
Games.
Ooh.
Lucas's Gaming Minute.
Ooh, we got a gaming minute. I gotta we gotta get some sort of theme going for that.
We got to get a sample for it.
Yeah.
Better than me just playing the Mario theme. So I want to talk briefly. A game I've been playing for a long time, Destiny, just came out with a new season as of yesterday. This is being recorded on May 12th.
Wait. Hold on, really quick, just for the dummy.
Yeah.
What do you mean by season?
So essentially, there's like quarterly new content.
Oh, okay. I was like, holy shit.
Yeah.
Like video games are dropping in a whole new way now.
Yeah, so essentially it's there's like the base game, and then every 3 months or so something new will come out.
Oh, wild. Okay, cool. Okay.
So
I got you now.
Usually we'll add some new like activity, and then there's like it's a looter shooter, so new shit to find, that type of jazz.
Shooter.
A looter shooter. It's like Borderlands stuff. Which you would love Borderlands because it's fucking dumb and very well written.
It's perfect for me.
So I want to just quick exposition dump. In Destiny, there is like, it's the humanity in the future. There was like a sort of like a post-apocalyptic event, but there was this alien being that essentially bestowed technology like that seems to the point of being magic upon humanity.
What?
Yeah, it's sort of bizarre. And it had encountered like an alien race in the past called the Fallen. And they followed it into our solar system. So essentially, at this point in the story, humanity has taken in a group of non-hostile Fallen, and it's made it. It's so interesting because like it's sci-fi fantasy type shit. But then the writing, it's like about refugee crises. It's a group of people running from their society because it has been too brutally radicalized, and then coming into a safe haven and then even in that safe haven, they are treated as outsiders. In this case, because they are like weird alien bug creatures, but they're even like they're under protection, but everyone's suspicious of them except for like a few people. And it's very interesting because now getting to speak to this other race, like you've been the hero for like fucking 5 years in that game.
Yeah.
And they're like, you killed my cousin. Like that type of shit.
Oh.
Like we looked at you in terror. It's offering like such an interesting opposite side. And I would recommend Destiny to anyone that plays it. It's free to play. You could get it on your PS4 right now. It's definitely worth checking out. Highly, highly recommend.
Yeah, that sounds like a really compelling kind of story.
Yeah, and it's just like a seasonal story. Last season it was something completely different. So
fair enough.
And then it's akin to the MCU. It all ties together. Like once a year, there's the big expansion, and it plays off of what happened and sets up what's coming next.
Okay, hell yeah. So have you been? So you've clearly been digging it. How's the overall gameplay? Is it pretty much the same?
Yeah, it hasn't changed dramatically. There's just like a new playable activity that puts you in a new environment that's like Tron-esque.
Oh,
it's
cool.
pretty sweet. I could do an entire podcast, and I'm pretty sure people have, wrapping up the entire like in-story history of that franchise.
Yeah.
And it would take me like 5 episodes of coffee and contemplation, and still no one would understand it.
Fair enough.
So like it's super fun. And me as a fan of the franchise, fucking loving it. And I would recommend it to anybody. You should check it out, my friend.
Hell yeah, man. I might just have to fucking do that.
It's free. It's free.
The best thing of all.
And it's made by Bungie. They did the first 3 Halo games.
Well, I do love me some Halo. That's for damn sure.
Oh yeah.
Oh, Bungie might just have hooked me.
Bungo. Also, they're out of Seattle, Washington. So some hometowners.
There you go. So you mentioned that a part of this game is like an alien coming down and bestowing some, like sort of like, gift upon humanity to like help. You said tech, like was it tech?
It's tech / like it's the whole like Thor shit of like my technology you would call magic, like that type of thing.
Yeah, okay, I got it.
It's very much in that vein.
Word.
It's very Star Wars now that I think of it.
That's interesting, man.
But
so
you could say that it's not. It might be called a symbiotic relationship.
Excellent.
Was that where you were going with this?
That was perfect. So clearly one of the things that happened between these last recordings was the occurrence of the Venom 2 trailer.
Ooh. And you know what the most disappointing thing is?
What?
They took away Woody Harrelson's wig.
That was
the Ronald McDonald wig.
I was astounded by that the first time around, but
genuinely incredible.
This, like, I think I watched the Venom movie in like a stoned haze one night. I don't fully recall it. Me
and Kate watched it maybe 6 months ago.
Yeah.
And the best way to sum it up is it's a whole lot of nothing that's like not egregiously terrible at any point, but also it never does anything that makes you look at it as like good.
Yeah, and
I fucking love Tom Hardy. I'm down. I'm down with most things Tom Hardy does, but Venom was just blah.
Yeah, and that's kind of like, I think that's probably why I remember, because what I do remember from it was just sort of bland stuff, like really like, and I know the movie kind of really heavily played off of the idea and dynamic of the Tom Hardy,
Yeah. So the one joke that like got me laughing in Venom was he's like in like a skyscraper or something, and like a SWAT team is waiting for him at the bottom. And he's looking out the window, and Venom goes, "Jump!" And then smash cuts to him like by the elevator waiting, and Venom just tells him, "You pussy," and like that's funny.
Yeah,
but
But and that is one thing I took away from this trailer, was that it seems like they're kind of really going for that sort of comedic dynamic between them again. And I don't know if it's
It
fully
didn't.
landing.
I don't. It feels like Are you referring to that cooking scene right at the beginning of the trailer?
Well, there's that, which was just outrageous to me.
It
And then
didn't. It
there's
didn't work, right? Or is that just
just
me? It just
no,
felt awkward.
it felt really strange. And I think Tom Hardy's reaction in it, as he's like drinking juice and just being like, well, I'm just gonna try and like fucking ignore this. That's kind of how I felt about that entire scene. I was like, I just wish I could just ignore this and like, maybe they'll show me something better next.
Yeah.
But it had this like, I don't know, it went from that, which just didn't land, to like creepy Woody Harrelson voiceover, like basically the rest of the time.
With
It felt
One Is
like
the Loneliest Number playing in the
it was
background.
so weird.
It was such a weirdly cut trailer, and it's like, I would love to show that to somebody who has no idea what Venom is,
Yeah.
and then be like, what is this? Like, describe this hero to me.
Yeah.
Or is he a villain? Like, what? Like, somebody wouldn't be able to tell.
Well, I mean, I will say this. Arguably, that is the dynamic you kind of want with Venom, is that
Yeah.
he's always been that anti-hero. He's always been that like, I'm going to save you, but then I'm going to go fucking eat that person over there. You know what I mean?
I mean, like, look at the
And
Venom comic that's running right now. Like, it's supposedly one of the best Marvel's put out in a long time.
Fair enough. But and that's like, I don't know. I mean, you see some of that, but this trailer was just like a mess of stuff, I thought.
Yeah,
And
that's sort of it. It just boiled down to stuff, like a
Yeah.
random mishmash of things.
which doesn't give me much hope for the movie, because that's how the whole fucking first movie felt, right? Like,
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it didn't help when the director of the first movie was like, when asked, like, why was Riot the evil symbiote? And he was like, because of the cool gunmetal color scheme. And I was like, what the fuck?
Excellent choice, my friend.
And now we get to see backlit Carnage, where he looks like a muddy black color, because the CGI probably looks terrible. And
you're probably right on that. And that sucks, because like what I want is that like fucking like blood red Venom. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
Or not
and
Venom,
the one
Carnage,
thing, the one thing that I think they nailed, which like that the notable difference between Venom and Carnage, is that Carnage, he's like, so he looks crazier, like he's like, there's all the different fucking arms coming off of him. They're all a bit jagged. It's meant to look a bit unsettling. That I think worked in the trailer. It looked appropriate.
Mm-hmm.
But otherwise, I was like, it just is fluff,
Yeah, I think that what they're mistaking is that like they're trying to go for this, and I think this is just the thing that Sony's doing with their like, I don't know, Spider-Man Rogues Gallery movies, but they're going for these like, edgy dark tones in terms of like the cinematography and the film itself, and it just doesn't really, like, what they're missing is that people want, more color. Basically, they just want brighter. It doesn't matter that the villain, that it's like a story about an anti-hero Venom character. They still want to be able to have some, I don't know.
I would argue that people want the MCU, or they want Joker. And it's like, you have to have a fully realized vision of where you're going. And it's like why people didn't like the Joss Whedon Justice League. It's because it didn't have its own identity. Like, and I think these Sony films definitely fall into that category, where they're sort of trying to be MCU, but it's like, oh, it's about a villain, so it's got to be darker shot and like that type of stuff.
Well, and that's exactly. That's what I mean. And I think they're trying to carve out this like position for him in between those two, and it just like, it's a position that doesn't exist right now. So I mean, I would applaud whatever first attempt really takes it, but I don't see that being Venom 2, and I don't see that being things like Mobius or whatever, Morbius or whatever.
Well, they're doing Silk too. Like that's what makes me curious, which is going to start filming soon.
Yeah.
So
I mean, like, I don't know. It's just a strange move, and I don't necessarily think it's going to work out for him. And this, again, I think the casting of Woody Harrelson as Cletus Cassidy,
it's great,
is fucking awesome. But I just don't think they're going to give him the free reign to like be as crazy as the character needs to be. Like he's a weird kind of crazy, you know, like a
Dude,
psycho kind of crazy. And
I'd be lying if I didn't think that Sony was doing like a decent job casting.
yeah, I mean, same thing with Tom Hardy. I do like Tom Hardy as Eddie Brock,
Yeah,
but yeah,
I
I don't
like
know,
it.
man.
It's like I really just don't. I definitely think that there is a place where this film could have a unique identity. It could
Yeah,
be interesting. It could be able to tell a story that is darker than like a traditional superhero film
hmm
and would know exactly what it's doing. But it just seems, and like Sony is just like the Amazing Spider-Man is where this started, where it just seems like these movies are underwritten and cranked out. You saw the meme that I sent you the other day,
yeah, yeah.
where it's what if you flip the Venom title backwards, you can see why they made this movie, and it spells out money. So
Money.
I
It's
mean,
true. It's true. Like they're just trying. They're trying.
it's a cash grab
Yeah,
ultimately. Venom was not super successful in the States, but internationally it was a huge success.
yeah.
And it's
There you
like,
go.
there you go. It validated its existence through that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, whatever. Will I watch it? Probably at some point. I don't know.
Yeah.
I honestly don't know if it's going to compel me to like seek it out. You
No.
know what I mean?
Unless
Like,
like all of a sudden when it comes into theaters it gets good reviews,
yeah,
I will not be making plans to watch Venom 2 in theaters.
yeah, exactly. Uh, man, you know, like it's like that. I really think it'd be interesting to see what happens eventually with like the Blade project coming up
Yeah.
from the MCU, because I think we've mentioned it on the podcast before, but I really think that that could be the connective tool if they want to some of these like more obscure Sony villain movies, and that, you know, it depends on if they do it right. Like they could really like pull like a Blade Morbius kind of like clash, which would be kind of interesting. But up, you know, up to this point, they don't have, and they're almost making it a point of saying that like these movies are not MCU connected, right? Like, I mean, they kind of like hint at
Oh,
things, but it's almost like in this way where it's like, you know, like in this trailer, you saw the Daily Bugle, uh, and it's like the same logo and same
and
insignia. No,
on one of the pages of the Daily Bugle, there was a page that said Avengers fight, an illegible name. Like,
interesting.
yeah. So just in honor of Blade, I wanted to pull up one of my favorite Blade quotes just while we're here. Okay.
Some motherfuckers are always trying to ice skate uphill.
Incredible. Can this be the identity of the Blade and Venom films,
Oh
please?
my god.
That's it. Literally the best quote from any film.
Oh my
Some
god.
motherfuckers always trying to ice skate uphill. What's he
Which
talking about?
do you, which one's that? Which
That's
movie
from
is that from?
it's from the first Blade,
That's
and
from the
he
first Blade. Oh
and
my.
and then he like roundhouse kicks like a dart into a dude's head.
Oh my god, I know the scene you're talking
Yeah,
about.
he says that right before doing that. Which it's just such a good line. Am I right?
It's ridiculous. It's a
I
gem,
really
man.
I really want to see Mahershala Ali. Like I want him to like have like a fight in the middle of winter in like Central Park or something.
And lose it.
And like not say it, but you can see like some guy trying to run away from the fray and he's skating up a hill and he falls over or something.
A gentle nod to
A gentle nod.
Yeah, that'd be great. That'd be fucking great. It's interesting though, because like I mean, like,
He can say some motherfucker though.
will the MCU let him?
Once.
Once, yeah, fair enough. Yeah, it is kind of like it'll be interesting to see really how they take that on. Like that's I mean, there's so much stuff going on at Marvel right now. It's fucking interesting as hell. Like they have, you know, you have videos of Oscar Isaacs or Isaac. I
Isaac.
can't remember.
Isaac.
Sorry, my bad. I don't know why I was
Doing all the
repeating.
martial arts training.
Yeah,
Oh,
doing
it
the
looks
training
sick.
for Moon Knight, which is fucking awesome.
So wait, is that Moon Knight though? Because they never confirmed him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Is
yeah,
it?
he has been confirmed.
Oh, really? I must have
Yeah,
missed
yeah.
it.
I don't think they've made like any sort of like convention like announcement, but
Yeah.
he's been
Um,
confirmed attached to the project. I think through like association with writers or
did
whatnot.
you see the other actor that was on set for Moon Knight?
No.
Ethan Hawke.
Oh shit, that's right. I forgot about that casting or like rumor at least that I thought. But
Yeah,
yeah, you're
he
right.
was
You're right.
spotted on set with Oscar Isaac.
That's fucking awesome.
Yeah, that's sweet.
Yeah, that'll be interesting to see
I
sort of where that leads. But
I would love, yeah, I can't wait for that. And like we were about to say with Venom, and this brings up the MODOK series with Patton Oswalt that
oh yeah.
I don't think either of us have watched, but
Not yet, but I definitely have wanted to check it out because I imagine it's
yeah,
going to be at least comedic,
yeah, at least so they made it abundantly clear, and I actually just saw this about Venom, that like all the Sony or like Fox projects that didn't get the axe before the buyouts of Fox,
hmm
they're going to be MCU like in the multiverse theoretically.
Okay, yeah, that's fucking
So
dope.
yeah, we might like eventually see something regarding him, but that's sort of their way of politely saying we're never going to touch this shit.
Yeah, I think that's becoming. I mean, again, it's just so fucking wild to me that like these big studios are all of a sudden taking pages straight out of like what the comic book industry has been doing for so long.
Yeah.
They've like written themselves into these holes with these storylines where they're just like fuck, like now we have like this loose end, this loose end, this loose end, this loose end, all done by different studios. Like, all right, let's just like say like fuck it, it's a multiverse. Like we'll like write something again that creates this multiverse.
Yep.
And that's what the comic book industry has been doing for years. Like they write themselves these big storylines, and eventually, boom, a multiverse is born.
Yep.
And then
Crisis on Infinite Earths, right?
and then eventually, what happens though is everything again goes awry, too far from the main source, and so they crunch it all back down into
Yep.
one like
Look at
mainstream.
like Miles Morales was not originally in the mainstream Marvel
No, not
continuity
at all. He was
in
in
the
the ultimate.
comics. Yep.
Yeah. And
But
that's
everyone loved him so much, like
and
they pushed for it.
that'll be a thing to watch though with these movies. I think it will be interesting to see like
I
how
guarantee
they
if
play
like
that.
Venom was better critically,
Yeah.
we would have already heard about him showing up in like the next Spider-Man film.
Oh, absolutely. It would have been a huge announcement.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, so I don't know. It's just like I said, they got so many projects going on. They have all these loose ends.
What's so interesting is like ultimately nobody like the general population is internet literate enough that with a Google search you can see if this stuff is canonical,
Mhm.
and that puts all the cards in Kevin Feige's hands. Like it's like really, he's like, oh, this shit sucks, so we're not gonna fucking canonize it. Why would we? Why would we want to use these half-assed films and attach them directly to our name?
Well, it's true. It's true. It's just like and that again, it's like a thing that I think is the same thing that comics do. It's like you find that it's hard to rip it away from the fan base for certain things.
Yeah.
I mean, like I don't know anybody though. Like that being said, like I don't know anybody who's like, dying on the hill of X3 or you know what I mean? like no, that's not in the MCU. Fuck that.
Yeah, exactly. X-Men Origins Wolverine.
But like it's more or less like just certain elements of these movies I think that people really love. Like clearly Hugh Jackman as Wolverine.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Is a great example. Like that's somebody who played the character so well that fans and in the end even some critics were really into his performance in Logan. And it's one of those things that like it would mean the world to a lot of people to have him be in the MCU, or like have him as a nod somewhere out there. But like the overall franchise of the X-Men that he was in, I don't think people are really necessarily like wanting
to
like have as canon in the MCU. You know what I mean?
No way.
Like so it's interesting. It's just like interesting how I don't know, but that's the thing. Like, what's cool about the Marvel movies is that they have really learned from those kind of things, and that's how you end up seeing better versions of the things you like
Yeah. You know,
in their MCU movies.
it all comes back to having a plan, knowing where you're going, and writing far enough ahead that you're able to have a really concrete plan of where everything's supposed to go.
Yeah.
As an example of something that fucked that up and didn't know what they wanted to do from the start. Like, that's ultimately it with Marvel. They knew what they wanted. I guarantee the first fucking phase or the first saga, the Infinity Saga, was thought out to some regard before it fucking started.
Maybe. I wonder
To a point.
if Iron Man dropped and that was such a wildly popular movie that they were like, holy shit, now we have to like build this out.
Yeah.
But yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised that at least by the third movie coming out, like Thor or something, they were probably like, they had an idea that, okay, like 20 movies from now, or like more than 10 films out, Thanos is the big threat.
Yeah.
So, and that they might play some stuff hot and like quick, but you have that one binding piece that will push everything to an ending. Something that is a perfect example of not planning ahead and giving people something that they absolutely hate. J.J. Abrams did an interview recently saying that he thought that Rey was a Kenobi.
Oh.
When he was writing reading over The Force Awakens, which just says that they had no plan with what to do with those movies.
And
we're talking about the Star Wars sequel trilogy.
That's exactly what I've always thought. Like, because even back when they were doing like press for that movie, I think at like the San Diego Comic-Con that year or whatever, like they, you know, like there was, or not even, maybe it wasn't San Diego, don't quote me on that shit, but it was you know, like Daisy had a card with her like character name, and it said full on like Kenobi, you know, it said Rey Kenobi. Yeah. And that was like, you know, the only time that was ever seen. Whoa. Like, you know, and people were like, that can't be right, that's got to be like a, you know, mistake. But like, I always imagined that was the direction that they were headed.
Yeah, and apparently it was the direction he thought they were heading as well.
That's interesting. But yeah, you're right. Like Star Wars is starting to get their shit together finally. We can all thank Filoni for that. But like, but you know, they've been, and I think they learned their lesson from those three movies. Like, it was such a hodgepodge, and they were all received in such different ways that they were like, fuck, this was a mess, we can't do that again.
Yeah, exactly. I genuinely think they might have they were like, fuck, what's Marvel doing right? We need to talk to their guys.
Yeah, pretty much. Speaking of Star Wars, though, I haven't watched it yet, but have you watched the new show, that the Bad Batch?
I have not yet. I want to, though.
Yeah, I've heard like good things. I've heard basically it's like it seems like a continuation of Clone Wars.
Yeah, I think that group of characters was introduced in the last season of the Clone Wars.
Well, there you go. But yeah, I mean, like, I don't necessarily think that's a deterring idea. I just haven't gotten around to watching it yet. So
yeah, I need to check it out. Another thing that just came up on streaming, I think we have a few minutes left. Yeah, about a few minutes. The Jupiter's Legacy.
Oh shit! Yeah, that's right.
Just before we start, you said you watched it. I'm yet to.
They dropped like it was volume 1, and it had like, you know, 8 episodes, somewhere between like 36 and 50 minutes each. You know. And it basically it's based on a graphic novel by Mark Millar, who is a writer who's given us, you know, storylines like Kingdom Come from DC, or Red Sun,
Kingsman.
Kingsman. And it's basically about a group of superheroes who get their powers, and that's chronicled through the episodes. You can kind of discover how they do that. And this that happens basically in like the 1930s. And in present day, you're dealing with like them getting older and their kind of generation of younger people with powers kind of coming up. And the questions, you know, arise of like, will the, you know, old sort of ways of like, you know, how they've been doing things kind of continue and work with the way things are in the world now. And it's a really great idea. It's basically like this kind of interesting, sort of bloody superhero drama.
Yeah.
And you know, I don't know. It works. It works in this really strange way. The costumes are a very bold, like, move, but I think they really tried to like. I'm not familiar with the source material, but I'd imagine they probably tried to like emulate it to some degree by using these like really bright, bold kind of costumes for some of their characters.
Yeah.
But it's really fucking interesting actually, and I definitely recommend checking it out.
I'll have to check it out, and then we can talk more in detail about it.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, it's got like I think the only, not that I'm like trying to snuff the other actors, but the actor that's billed, of note is I think Josh Duhamel.
Yeah.
He has like long white hair and like a white beard. I think at some point
I've
somebody
seen the
called him.
pictures.
Somebody said that, like, a line from one character to him was like what's up with the sexy Santa look? And I was like,
That's
it's
funny.
like he does that. It's like a Santa that's been working out. Like,
Yeah, he's fucking ripped. I've seen the pictures. I've seen trailers and stuff. Nothing sold me enough with the promotional material.
yeah,
Didn't sell me enough on it.
What's interesting about it is that it reminds me, like, okay, so if you're familiar with some of his work, like Kingdom Come from his DC story about basically the same thing, where a generation of superheroes, Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman, Hal Jordan, Barry Allen, they're aging, they're, not necessarily always in the spotlight anymore. And like the younger heroes in that story are kind of a little more like crazy. They're a little more violent, and they don't really give a fuck about destruction and killing people and stuff like that. And so that there's this clash, and that's a very similar theme to this show, which is really interesting because that kind of stems from this like, mythical sort of like storyline that the writer Alan Moore had proposed years and years ago to DC to do this, like basically the story called Twilight of the Superheroes, which is loosely based on the opera Twilight of the Gods. And it's about like how Superman and the House of El are here, Batman and his house are here, the villains are here, the House of Mysteries over here with all these magical characters, and the clash of like how power is perceived in the future, basically. So
interesting.
It's just kind of cool. The moralistic aspects to some of the characters in Jupiter's Legacy are mundane to some degree, but they are relevant in how it speaks to how the country is itself in the United States a little bit too. So it's
grappling with identity.
Yeah, it's sort of interesting. So I definitely actually recommend it in case you're looking for something to watch.
I'll have to check it out. I haven't really been watching much recently. Just been playing Smash Bros. Destiny.
Yeah.
Shall we wrap it up?
We gotta get off the horn before Zoom fucking cuts us off.
Jesus Christ.
Zoom gods.
Follow us on Instagram at Old Heart Radio.
There it is.
Old Heart Radio on YouTube. Give us a subscribe. Watch our videos. They're just the VODs of this. And then Old Heart in Space.
Yes, follow on Twitter at Old Heart in Space.
There we go.
If you are so inclined. Also, no, I got nothing. All right, that's it. I got nothing.